Hello everyone, Tony from Architect Fitness here, and in this video we are going to be talking about our gym rules. Now, like most gyms, we do have a set of rules, but unlike some other gyms, which we won't name, we don't have any ridiculous rules like no jugs of water or no lunkheads allowed. Actually, our rules are for a specific reason, and that is to make sure that number one, you get the best results possible, number two, you are safe in doing so, and number three, you enjoy your experience while you're at the gym. So without further ado, let's jump right into what our rules are and explain a little bit about each of them. Number one, check in when you come in. And this is pretty simple. We like to track the attendance of our members. This helps us to see when we're busy, when we're not busy, and when we can add more hours and more coaching to better serve the clients. If you don't check in, we don't get an accurate picture of when people are most likely to be at the gym, and therefore we might not get it right with our staffing. Also, it's really helpful to us to see if somebody hasn't checked in, because that way we can follow up with them and hopefully encourage them to get back into the gym. Rule number two, and that is no outdoor shoes on the training floor. Now, this is something that we don't really enforce during the summer months, but coming into fall and winter, it's extremely important that people follow this rule. And that's because when it snows, we get slush, there's dirt and sand that's put out onto the parking lot and on the roads. And if you're bringing that into the gym, not only does it just make a mess of the gym, but it's also really dangerous because surfaces become slippery from people tracking in that wet slush. So during the winter months, we really encourage you to change out your shoes when you're coming in to work out. And this is a really good idea anyway, just because if you're training in shoes that you're wearing all day long, those shoes are going to get worn out very quickly. And worn shoes aren't going to provide you with the correct support and stabilization when you're exercising. This can lead to not just suboptimal training, but potentially injury. So really, if you have a set of shoes that are specifically for training, that is the ideal. And it's worth spending a little bit extra money on a nice pair of shoes, because if you only wear them during exercise, they're likely to last you a very long time. Okay, moving on to rule number three, and that is to save the chit-chat for after the workout. Now, we love that everyone at Architect Fitness is like a big family. We have an awesome community and everyone supports each other. Just the other day, two members came in at the same time, and one stopped the other and said, I've just noticed you've been looking so awesome lately. All of your hard work's paying off. And you could tell it just made that client's day. And things like that I absolutely love and I totally encourage. However, if you're both in the middle of a workout, save the talk for what's going on this weekend or what your day at work was like for after your workout or before you start. When you're in the gym and you've started your training session, your number one focus should be doing that workout, getting the most out of it, and maximizing your time and your results. So we encourage everyone to be friends, but save the chit-chat for after your workout. Moving on to rule number four, and in my opinion, this is the most important rule. However, unfortunately, it is also the most often abused, and that is no cell phone use during training. There's a few reasons why we have this as a rule. Number one, if you're constantly on your phone during your workout, you're just not going to get that much out of that training session. You're not focused on what you're doing. You're distracted by Facebook or Instagram or a text message or email. You're probably not sticking to your prescribed rest times, and you're really just not taking your workout that seriously. You're also increasing your risk of injury. Being mentally focused on what you're doing will help you from getting injured by not making any mistakes while you're exercising. Also, if you're taking a long break in between different sets and different exercises, you're letting your body cool off, your heart rate come back down, and then when you go to do the next exercise, you've now increased your risk of injury. Lastly, it's simply not good posture the way most people sit while they're on their phone. They're either slouched down in their chair or hunched over with their necks cranked. You have many nerves that run through your neck. You're compressing some of those in that position. You're not in a position that allows your lungs to expand when you're breathing heavily. The coaches, when they see you're on your phone, they immediately just skip right over you and go on to the next person to help. Now, a lot of people will say, well, we've seen the coaches on their phones, and that is 100% true. But there's a few things you need to remember. We are often using our phones as calculators to help clients determine different weights. We use our phones constantly to film, not just to promote the gym on things like Facebook and Instagram, but also to review footage with clients so they can see their technique. And of course, we use our cell phones as the gym phone, so we are sometimes taking phone calls from potential or current customers. Also keep in mind that while you're on your phone, you aren't really paying attention to what's going on around you. There are people lifting heavy weights, there are people running back and forth on the turf, there are people who might need help or might have a question or might have a comment or might want to engage with you to tell you, hey, you've been doing a great job. You shut off the possibilities of all of those things when you have your head down and you're focused on your phone. So while this isn't a rule that we're very militant about enforcing, we're all adults, so you make your own choices. But just know your coaches are not crazy about it. Jumping to rule number 5, and that is to say hello to everyone when you come through the door and say goodbye to everyone when you leave. And this rule exists for no other reason than to encourage people to participate in the community. And I will say, as a coach, this is also very helpful to me. In the case where I might have my back turned to the door when I'm helping another client, it is nice to know who's coming and going, and if there's something I need to tell you before you leave or something I need to remind you of before you start, it's helpful to know when you've arrived and when you're about to depart. Pretty simple, say hi and say bye. Okay, rule number 6, and that is to respect the equipment. This stuff is going to take a beating no matter what. That's just the nature of being in a gym and being put through these different exercises. But we can limit the amount of damage we do to the equipment because the equipment is very important. They are the implements that help us get into shape. So if you can avoid slamming things on the ground or jamming things into place or anything like that, we encourage you to do it. I know sometimes things don't always go your way in the gym, and that can be very frustrating, but don't take your frustrations out on the weights. The weights only do what you tell them to do. So please respect the equipment, and it'll be a safer and longer lasting environment for everyone. And that brings us to our next rule, which is to put things back where you found them. I will say some people are excellent at doing this, and some people simply are not. One of the fun things about owning a 24-hour gym is that every morning when I come in, I get to spend a good 20 to 30 minutes rearranging the gym to put things back where they belong. I know that sometimes it can be a little confusing with the toaster racks as far as which plates go where, but if you're not sure, just ask. Don't simply jam something into place that obviously doesn't go there and then leave it. If you put something back where you found it, it makes everything easier for everyone. Everyone can find things when they need to find them. Your workouts will go more smoothly and more quickly. So do your part, put everything back where you found it, and if you're not sure where it goes, just ask. Okay, rule number 8, and that is do not talk to someone who is about to start a set of an exercise or is in the middle of an exercise. This goes back to distractions and removing them from the gym. If someone's about to attempt a heavy lift, they might need a few moments before they start the lift to mentally prepare themselves. There's nothing worse than getting psyched up for a heavy lift and someone comes up to you and starts talking to you about their day or their weekend. Again, save the chit-chat for after the workout. Okay, rule number 9, and that is if you have a technical question, ask a coach before you ask another client. We love that our clients are willing to help each other, and we love that our more experienced clients can sometimes act as mini assistant coaches to us. It's a very handy thing to have. However, if there is a coach in the gym, go up to them and ask them the technical questions. You're not bothering us. This is what you pay us for. We don't know if you have a question unless you ask it. So if you have a technical question about how to do an exercise or what an exercise is, ask the coach first. Okay, moving on to rule number 10, and that is to avoid walking directly in front of somebody's line of sight or exercising too closely in someone's personal space. And this is a safety concern first and foremost. Of course, this rule is impossible to follow 100% of the time. For example, if you are doing something going up and down the turf in the gym, of course you're going to be walking past people's line of sight. In that instance, it would be the responsibility of the stationary party to wait until you've passed to begin their exercise. However, if someone was on a platform, say doing back squats, you would not want to set up right in front of them using the agility ladder or doing kettlebell swings. There's plenty of space in the gym. Find a spot where you're not directly in front of someone's line of sight. Furthermore, if someone was doing something like ring rows, you wouldn't want to set up directly behind them to do planks. Use common sense here. Try to give everyone personal space. It's just safer that way. Rule number 11 is to ask to work in with somebody if they are using a piece of equipment that you need. And this is kind of old school gym etiquette, and if you're newer to gyms, you might not be familiar with this. But here's how it works. Let's say someone is doing lat pull downs on the lat pull down machine, and you have to do that exercise too. Unless there's 3 or 4 people all working on that same machine, go ask that one person if you can work in with them. The order of exercises on your program is laid out in a specific way, and sometimes it's not a big deal to skip something and come back to it, but generally that should be avoided if possible. Walk up to the person using the equipment and say, "Hey, can I work in with you?" And of course they're going to say yes. General etiquette on this is they rest while you exercise and vice versa, and make sure you know how much weight they need or what the settings are on the particular implement you might be using so you can help them put it back to how they had it when you're switching back and forth. Very simple, and another opportunity to make a new friend. All right, now it's time for rule number 12. This is our last rule and a very important one, and that is to tell your coaches when you are about to attempt a personal best. Now, this could be something like a max bench press attempt, or maybe you're going to see how many pull-ups you can do, or how long you can hold a plank for, or maybe how high your vertical jump is. No matter what, if it's a personal best, let your coaches know before you try it so they can make sure to keep an extra watchful eye on you. And this is for a few reasons. Number 1, when you're working at your 100% max, that is when things are most likely to go wrong. So alerting your coaches can help us keep a close eye to make sure that there's no technical errors that need to be addressed. Number 2, we want to brag about you on the internet. We want to film it and we want to share your progress with the world. You're doing a great job and that should be acknowledged. So if you're going to attempt a new personal best, or a PR as we often call it, make sure your coaches know before you start. So those were our 12 gym rules. What did you think? Do they make sense? Do you think any of them are too harsh? Let me know in the comments below. I'm Tony with Architect Fitness. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.